Welcome to the June edition of the Meet and Chat with the Professionals, a virtual session of the Finance Business Partners. So the Finance Business Partners is a community of finance and accounting enthusiasts who are committed to changing the narrative of the profession. The Meet and Chat with the Professionals is a monthly virtual session hosted by the Finance Business Partners to intimate, educate, and interact with our community members and the general public on industry trends and knowledge that will impact their personal and career development. So over the course of our previous sessions, we've detailed how you can get your desired job engagements and strategic positioning to ensure a flourishing career. You can get to watch our previous sessions on our YouTube channel. So today's session centers on demonstrating competence in your organization. While getting an engagement may seem tasky for some, applying the techniques that has been shared over time on the Finance Business Partners platform would sure make your search and hiring process easier. You would agree with me that it is one thing to get an engagement, it is another thing to display capability and competence. Your daily show on various engagements somehow determines whether you are successful or capable in the role you are actually hired for, or whether you are being managed. And all the appraisals that you would get will determine the kind of career that you have at the end of the day. So today's session should give you the tactics and techniques required to show competence in your job so as to get the upward surge and boost to get your career to a great height. So our guest speaker, Mr. Jinadu George, is a great professional and finance expert. Over the years, he has displayed innovativeness, leadership, and utmost competence in the various positions he was engaged. He rose to the position of Chief Finance Officer in his previous engagement, and he is also the founder of the Finance Business Partners. We find him worthy to discuss this very important topic, citing his vast experience and knowledge of trends in the industry. He enjoys making positive impact, and I am sure we are going to learn a lot from this session. I urge you to maximize the lessons that will be shared and implement them to propel your career. During the course of the sessions, if you have questions or contributions that you would like to share, please do use the chat box, as our guest speaker will attend to questions at intervals. And if you aren't a member yet and you would love to be part of this wagon of change, the links to our everyday engagement platforms will be posted or will be shared in the chat box during the course of this session. So do join us to make your own mark. So I would now give room to Mr. George to take us through this session. So Mr. George, over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Idris. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for taking out the time for your busy or relaxing Sunday to be part of this whole exercise. So as much as possible, I'll make it as practical as possible. And honestly, this is my own story. What I see or what I will tell you today is driven by my own personal story. So it's not something I read somewhere, and it's not necessarily the only way around things. But I try to share my story so that people can identify with it if it's in line with some of the things they want to do. So I will start with the presentation. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, you can see your screen, sir.
Okay, great. So the first slide is about the topic for today, demonstrating professional competence. So one of the most interesting things about our career is this. We come from a very unique field for people who are of finance background. All your life, they will keep teaching you about being conservative, being confidential, those strict, rigid approach to work. But one thing nobody will ever teach you at an early stage is that you also need to sell. Like pretty much you need to sell yourself. You need to be able to let people know that you are good at something. It's like you can be the best products in the world to solve all the problems. But if you are sitting in the back shelf in the store where nobody comes to, nobody will ever buy you, nobody will ever appreciate you. So I go straight into the content of today. It's going to be very as short as possible and as concise, and because I want us to be as engaging as possible, I want us to ask as many questions so I can share my own life experiences based on practical situation. So today I'll be covering what professional competence means based on my own assessment of it. Then secondly, we'll look at what are the key elements of professionalism in a corporate environment, because we can talk about professionalism, but how does it apply to a corporate environment? Then next, we are now going to go straight to how can I achieve professional competence in my organization. So when I know what it means, when I understand the key elements, how do I apply that to my day-to-day life to actually move? Then we're going to end it up with questions and answer. So the first thing we'll be talking about today is definition of the key terms that makes up professionalism or professional competence. The first one, I had to look through Merriam-Webster dictionary to even understand or Merriam-Webster to even understand what it is like we're talking about. So Merriam-Webster described professionalism as the conduct, aims, or qualities that characterize or mark a profession or a professional person. So it's about your conduct, it's about the qualities, it's about your aims, it's about key things they look out for a certain profession. So for example, how do you determine if an accountant is a professional? Most times, it's the way they carry themselves. You hardly see an accountant in an organization shouting, hey, haha, okay, this person is professional. Then, in terms of the way they engage with people, you know that, okay, there's some level of maturity. You don't see accountants fight. It's very rare to see those things. So, that gives you an idea of what professionalism is. Then, the other side of professional competence, which is competence itself. So the same source, I went to look at what is their academic definition of it, which we can relate to today. And they define competence as the quality or state of having sufficient knowledge, judgment, skill, or strength as for a particular duty in a particular respect. So what does competence mean in that sense? Competence is talking about having enough knowledge, as in knowing as much as possible about that subject. Then, based on your experience or your knowledge, you are able to demonstrate good judgment when you meet situations. So you see money, man, see money. Do I steal it? Do I do that? Or when you want to post a transaction, how do you post it? Do you post credit into expenses? You put debit into revenue? Those kind of things. Then strength as for a particular duty, how much energy do you have to get that job done? It's the same Merriam-Webster. So I sat down to myself and I looked at it that based on my own knowledge, experience, and career, if I mix these two key definitions together and I put in the key element that is missing, I should be able to give you what professional competence means. So I now defined it as the organization perceives that you have the required knowledge, skills, and competence in your preferred profession and also bring value to the organization. So I gave it my own because after all, Merriam-Webster is not better than me. I need to have a human being. So yes, I can quote it that I'm the one that introduced that definition. And one day when I have money, I have my own website. I'll put it there so they'll use me as source of reference. So the keywords in my own definition is what I highlighted in red. We all know the knowledge, or you need to have knowledge. We all know the skills, you need to have skills. We all know we need to have competence. But there's one key element that we miss out in our career, which I'll show you today that is the most important element wherever you want to work or you want to go. And that's perception. So it's not just good enough to have skills, knowledge, competence, but you must be perceived to have it. And when I say perceived, I'm talking about the right people. So you can be amongst your peer, junior staff. That guy is the best. That lady is super. But if the owner of the business doesn't see what you do, doesn't know what you do, you're just wasting your time. So there are multiple ways of achieving that. And I'll try to touch that as we go on. But very, very important. Perception is everything. Not just how good. It's just like, let me look for car lovers. If somebody brings a Toyota and somebody brings a Range Rover, you naturally believe that, okay, let me use a more common day-to-day example. If somebody brings a Samsung phone and somebody brings a Techno, by your natural perception, Samsung is super, Samsung. But the reality of it is today, the same factory where they manufacture Samsung is the same factory they manufacture Techno, every little element of it. But the most important key thing there is the word perception. It is how you perceive it. Just like iPhone. iPhone is not produced in China. iPhone is not produced in America. It's produced in China. And most recently, they have a factory in India. But when you hear iPhone, it's superior, it's super. But the same elements and chips and items that are inside iPhone is what you have in your Techno or your Samsung phone. So the key word there is, how do you perceive that product, or how do you perceive that person? So we'll go into some of the key drivers and elements to help our conversation today. So now, what are the key elements of professionalism in a corporate environment? The number one key element there is technical competence. So whether you like it or not, if you want to be to demonstrate professional competence, right, you must be technical in what you're doing. So if you're an accountant, at the minimum, you should know what it is to prepare a financial statement. Even if it's not required at your level, at the minimum, you should know what it is when people are talking about invoices, when they are talking about key terms in terms of your career, whatever it is that is key at your level, maybe ability to post transactions, or somebody is mentioning IFRS, and let me take a joke at a situation. There was a meeting that was held, and minutes of meeting was taken in an accounting department. So somebody talked about IFRS, and unfortunately, the guy who took the minutes, for some reason, doesn't know what IFRS is. You'll be shocked. In today's finance function, there are organizations that have that. And in writing the minutes of the meeting, the person wrote high, as in HIGH F rest, IF rest. An accountant. When I saw the minutes of the meeting, I just started laughing when I saw it. Like in this 2022, there's still somebody in an accounts department that doesn't know what IFRS means. Like, at the minimum, even if you don't know the standards itself in detail, at least you should have heard of it before to even know what, not high, like being high on weed or alcohol and all that. So, but this is reality. This is it. So, technical competence is key. Then the next is understanding organizational needs and culture. I can't overemphasize this because I see a lot of people come with this wrong mindset when they come to an organization. This is how we've done it. This is how it has worked for me. Therefore, this is the way I will do it. If you are not careful, you will be on the opposite side of professional competence if you don't understand how the culture in an organization works. There are some organizations where the only way you can demonstrate competence is by going to go and meet the owner of the business and giving information behind the scene. That's the only way. So if you know all the IFRS in the world, do everything, you are deceiving yourself. Some organizations, the only way you can show competence is showing up at the owner of the business events, or even team members at parties and all that. That's the only way. Nobody cares about your skill in the office. So if you keep deceiving yourself, I know IFRS 15, I know. You can never grow in such an organization because you are not perceived to know what you know. And also, very importantly, because some organizations, as a maybe a more junior staff, you might not have direct access to the top management. And the only person who should measure your professional competence in those organizations is top management. You probably will not be able to show it. But as we go along, I'll explain more and try to profile solutions of how I was able to manage those type of situations. The next one is visibility and perception management, which stems from the one I mentioned earlier, the culture. You have to be visible. You have to figure out how to be visible. The people that matter need to know who you are. The people need to know, how competent is this person? Because even if you have all the knowledge and skills, if the people that matter don't know you are competent and you have the right skill, you're just not going to get anywhere. So I call it perception management because I remember back then, that's what we used to call it when I was working for an auditing firm back then. We call it perception management. And I'll crack you up a little. Perception management there was different. I came from a background where you are on point, go getter, you do the work, you close. But that was my first ever job, doing the work and you close. But when I joined, I will try to hide the name. It's one of the big four. So first of all, what shocked me is that even though the closing time is 5 p.m., you can't leave the office till 8 or 9 when your manager leaves. Now, I made a big mistake, right? When I first joined, when they gave me work, I tried to, finish work fast and close. And what I realized is once you try to do that, the manager takes other people's work and give you. So it was strange to me until I found out that, there was what you call perception management. And perception management in that context was, you see people staying till 8 p.m. I can assure you, between the hours of 5 p.m. and 8 p.m., the average person in most of our engagements watch 2 movies. But then, thank God, for Windows 6 of blessed memory, most of you, Windows Media Player 6, most of you won't know it. It's that Windows Media Player that used to be able to, you can minimize it at the right bottom side of your screen. So you'll be watching movie. Your manager you just form that serious face, be nodding. Occasionally you tap a few keyboards, you nod, you ask questions. Sorry, have you finished with this file? Can I use it? But deep down, you are not doing squats from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So I learned really quickly anyway. So I had to join the bandwagon so that I stopped becoming a dumping ground of work for other people. So I realized most people won't even work between 8 to 5 in the daytime. They don't even do much for this, but you start from, this guy is working late, this guy is hardworking, he's putting in the work, meanwhile, you don't do anything. I'm not saying do that, but I'm just telling you it's part of organizational culture that you don't like it, but you have to do what you need to do to survive. Then another key element is communication style. It's very, very, very important that you get communication style right. If you don't get anything right, I think it's very important that you get that right. You need to learn to communicate. There are some organizations where an email suffices. You can wake up and type emails and shoot it to people, it's fine. There are some organizations, it's typically in Nigeria, your guy is a big man, you want to be writing email to your guy on what you saw. You are going to just shoot yourself in the leg. They prefer you come to meet them and speak and there are some organizations that it's all about speaking English. I've seen that a lot, where something as simple as just say, today we did a good job. You see the person use like all these big politicians. So the exigencies of the duties today was very critical, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's just only like 5 words that make sense out of it. The rest is just crap, But some organizations like that, you see the owners of business nodding, yes, this guy is sound. But deep down, you know what you are doing, that this is just speaking big English, But you also need to learn that. It's very, very important. If not, you won't be able to communicate. It's just like you going to the market. You want to go and buy something and you're speaking good English. Of course, you're not going to communicate well. First of all, the fact that you're speaking English, they will alienate you and they will probably try to cheat you. But the moment you go and go with you, they talk now, what's happen now? Yeah, you get to the level and you fit in and they understand, okay, great, this guy is communicating. Then you can do your transactions faster. The next one is identifying the most important players in your organization. This is something that I found out a little late in my career, but I think it's something that you need to learn from. So every organization, right, has key players. That there are some that are obvious, visible, and there are some that are not. But you need to take your time to understand it. You need to take your time to understand those key players. And I'll give you a typical scenario. For an organization that I worked for, the owner of the business is visible. So you'll think that, yes, so I just need to impress this person. But it took me about 3 months to realize that the most important person in that organization is not the owner of the business. The most important person in that organization is the wife of the owner of the business. So even if the owner of the business wants to fire you, once the wife says no, that's the end. It might sound weird, but these are some of the things you will meet in your career over time, like when you start getting into issues and dealing with it. When the madam says no, that's it. And when the madam says this person has to go, that person must go. Like, literally must go. I've seen organizations where some of the most powerful people in there, in fact, it's common in many organizations, is always the secretary or the executive assistant or PA to the CEO or the owner of business. Because they know when the owner of business is at the right time, to communicate certain information to the owner of the business. So it's then in some organizations, it could be managers, it could be not even the HODs, it could be managers, it could be even junior staff, it could be people. But it's your job to sit down, review the system and observe rightly to know, okay, this is my best person. that might be able to communicate my needs or whatever it is to the owner of the business. Then the next one, which I always emphasize, because look, whether you like it or not, there are always going to be politics and all those stuff in the organization. But the most important part is you have to always be professional in your conduct. No matter what, that is what will, even if the things are not working out, that's what will always give you an edge in every situation. Say, look, what would a professional do in this situation? There are times you have somebody who piss you off in the office, you just feel like slapping that person or punching that person, but out of your conduct or anything, you remember, if I'm a professional, what would a professional do? There are times that you may be upset, angry at things, but you need to professionally conduct yourself and just be mature. Okay, it's the job. It's not personal, whatever it is, because people will backbite you, people will play politics, people will do all sorts. But I can assure you, if you are professional enough in what you're doing, you will always realize, okay, it ends by 5 o'clock or by 6 o'clock, whatever the time is. Then you shut your mind off it, and you move on the next day, you start from fresh. Very, very important. So the next thing is you go to the next slide, which is, how can I achieve professional competence in my organization? So we mentioned all these key things. There are a lot of them. There are more things there that you will see in organizations, but I don't want to overload you with many things. Over time, as you start to develop some of these key things I mentioned, you will start to pick up those things. But in response to some of the ones I mentioned, I would like to profile some solutions that worked for me. Very, very important. It worked for me, and you would also need to, you can adopt it, and I believe it can work for anybody, whoever it is, your background, your skills, knowledge, whatever it is, to work for you. First is technical competence. How do you demonstrate technical competence? Very simple. I have a very simple principle to it. Always be a student of life and keep developing yourself. Every day I learn something new. And one of the things about learning something new that I'll tell you is this. You never can tell when that knowledge will come in handy or become useful. In most recent times, people who know me know I've been learning how to do Python coding. It's not my career. I'm an accountant, a finance person, but I've been learning how to do coding. I'm also currently trying to learn SQL. I'm also, to make you laugh, I also just signed up for an exam in insurance, just to understand insurance skills and, those that are technology, RSP, whatever it is. So always be learning, because I never can tell when that will be useful to me. So always be a student of life. Wherever you are, be humble. Realize that, okay, there's always going to be a period that you are the dullest person in the organization. Don't fool yourself. Whatever organization you join newly, you are the dullest person, no matter how smart you are, because yes, you are bringing your residual knowledge, you are bringing your smartness, but you don't know how things work there. It is when you know how things work that you can now change things. So very, very important. Always be a student of life. Then the next one is organization's culture. Understand and align with the organization culture. Now, I'm not saying be a politician or anything, but very, very, very importantly, align with it. And I'll tell you, for every organization, there are multiple levels. There's always the politicians, and there's always the non-politicians. In every organization, take that I've seen, they always hate each other. Because the non-politicians put in the work and be complaining, these people don't even see my work, I'm working hard, and somebody is dying here. Then the politicians are very good. They don't do nothing. Take it from me, from my own experience. They just come to work, find out, okay, maybe this week, what have I done to create visibility for myself? Nothing. They just go look for something. Maybe it's an issue, maybe it's a topic, maybe just one thing. And when they find out one thing, they blow it out of proportion and communicate it. You see, I am the one, like this thing is the way the company should go. This is the right direction. And before you know it, because they speak louder, they get noticed. And before you know it, competent, because it's always very funny between you and I that in this part of the world, competence is measured by your ability to be seen or shout loudest. But you that are behind the scenes, you know that person shouting loudest most times don't do squat. All they do is find one thing to just use to make themselves look good. Now, if the organization expects you to do that, as much as possible, I will advise you, and I'm telling you from personal experience, because I lost a lot from fighting that process. I fought it so many times in my career. I'm a rebel for whatever you want to call it. I don't believe in following the rules, but it affected me in many ways, and I don't encourage people to do what I did. So I'll give you a typical scenario. In my life, I've changed job 10 times, and By the maximum any organization can squeeze out of me, if you are lucky, is 1 year. Anything above 1 year, know that you are very lucky with me. I don't have that loyalty. But is it the best? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because it comes with its own downside. It comes with its own weakness. You might not see immediately when you are changing jobs, but after a while, when it starts to catch up with you, because when you start to go for interviews, people start picking holes. You just do 1 year and go. Are you sure you are stable? Everybody starts to poke things at you and all that. Please, as much as possible, try to understand the organization's culture and align with it. I'm not saying be the politician, but align with it. Try to do your work very well and just do as much as possible to make sure that you align with the culture. Then the next one is visibility and perception management. For me, it is very simple. You must find the right way for the important decision makers to see your performance. Now, there are two ways decision makers see people's performance. One, you see that, multiple ways anyway, but the two most common way I know. You see that you play office politics, or you deliberately or intentionally create situations whereby your knowledge is seen. And I tell people this, I've been a victim of some of these things in the past too. So you will experience it at your stage if you are not a good politician. I've had organizations where I did the work, and my boss would go and take all the glory. I've had those kind of situations. It has happened to me like 2 or 3 times. Dying, saying overnight, then you want to send report, your boss say, no, don't send it directly, send it to me to review. The boss is not reviewing squat, he's using your report to go and shine. Then when they respond to those reports, oh, well done, good job, your boss will never let you know. So they don't even know you are the one doing the work. What your boss will just do is tweak it and send it. I don't manage people that way. People who have worked with me will tell you. I try to send the report directly, because if you did the work, it's fair enough for people to know you did the work. So it's not only when things go bad that you should be hammered. The key decision makers should know. If I'm the top person in the department, why do I need to be sending reports to the CEO? I don't. From my own experience, I don't, because even if I do my work well, it is expected of me. It's not like, this guy did a good job. So what? That's what I'm paid to do. That's why I'm the boss. I'm not supposed to be like, I have reports. Hey, no, so what? I am hired to do that. Now it's my subordinates. If they are doing the work well, I should be able to. But in most organizations, it doesn't work like that. People will take your work and use it to shine. So, but very importantly, you need to find those key decision makers. You need to find what matters to them. So, my last job, one thing is, the owner of the business allows you to walk into his office anytime. You can send him any message, and like a sort of flat structure, open door. So everybody has direct access to him. So in such an organization, it's easy. Occasionally, just if you have some good ideas, just share it with him. Now, it doesn't mean you won't carry your boss along, but at least just share with him. Yeah, your boss may not like it, but there's a way you play it. You can share with him and also let your boss, hey, boss, I had something doing yesterday. I sent it to the CEO. He may not like it, but hey, the point is, look, it's not you are not there to serve your boss. Let's be honest with ourselves. Because if you are not careful, your career will never grow. Why? Because your boss needs to always look good. And if your boss is not a nice person, they will never know you are the one doing the work. So you need to find a way to make sure the key people see you. It could be through maybe sometimes some organizations do town hall meetings. That's even a perfect situation. Maybe one meeting once a month where everybody meets together. Dude, express your opinion. Be vocal. Let people see you. Let people hear you. Even if it feels like it's nonsense, I can assure you, most times the owners of business hold those meetings because they want to know what is going down there. It's like somebody who is very tall, like a giraffe. A giraffe can never see an ant. No matter how much the giraffe tries, because his neck is long, high up there, but he's trying to look down, he won't see. What a giraffe will probably see are the bigger animals running around, which are the HODs and the managers. Okay, this one is doing well. But deep down is the ants at the bottom that's doing the real work. Because I've been fortunate to pass through all the stages, and I can tell you, a lot of managers don't do squat. All we do is tell stories about we are reviewing reports. We make sure that there's always something to correct so that you don't make me feel like a superstar. Okay, it's a lie. We know that, okay, your report is perfect. And at the end of the day, we take the shine and the glory, and you may not grow. If you are lucky, you have a good manager, you work in a good organization, that there's room to grow. But if you are not lucky, you have to figure out how to get yourself to those key decision makers. There are so many ways, but like I said, you don't have to be an office politician. But if you're a good politician, why not? There's nothing stopping you, man. There's nothing. It's your career, it's your life. And remember, your career and your life is in your hands. If you use it in a bad way, it is you that will blame yourself. And if you use it in a good way, it is you that will still, be happy for yourself. So very importantly. Then another thing is communication style. I also suffered a lot in terms of communication style. At the early part of my career, how do I put it? I've fluctuated from different styles. I started out with being vocal. When I see something, I say it. Yeah, then I never marry, I never born. I still stay in my parents' house. So if you ask what will happen if it's happening, I'll go chop food for house. Then later when I got to a stage, I got married. I started having, I got married. So everything changed because then, come on, if I lose this job, I won't pay rent. How do I do that? So it slowed me down a little. So I started becoming, less of a vocal person, and I started to see things that I'm not supposed to see, things that I'm supposed to complain, I won't complain, and all that. Then now I don't still speak, to be honest, and it's not the best way, but I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I'm at a level where I don't need to speak much. I always have that audience to speak to people that matter. So, but I will advise you, it's important to define your communication style, right? And ensure you communicate regularly. Ensure you communicate. It's very key. Don't leave anything for assumption. The CEO knows. This one knows. No. It had a negative impact in my life. And I'm going to be honest with you on that. Like, I wasn't communicating. And I didn't know I was shooting myself in the leg. It's until maybe when I want to now leave the job, when they are engaged, but we don't know. And I'm now sincerely like, I didn't tell these people now. I was the one assuming. I did it 2 or 3 times before I realized, okay, no, I need to learn to communicate. And now, communication is 2 ways. If you work in an organization where people don't mind emails, it's good. But I advise one thing for email. Remember, an email is like an egg that has dropped to the floor. If it's broken, it's broken. You can't unbreak it. So if you send an email, remember, it's documented. Somebody can keep it and, hold it. And one of the challenges with email sometimes is the person reading your email, you don't know the mood and the context the person will take your email. Some people might take it, maybe I'm in a bad mood. As your manager, you send me an email. And I'll be like, what's wrong with this idiot? He's sending me an email. Instead of him to call me, does he want to set me up? I've been in such situations and I didn't know. So it's very important to know the right communication style with the people you are dealing with, the key people. Some of them prefer text message. Some of them prefer one-on-one conversation. I think one-on-one is the best if you can get the opportunity, because that way you can understand the mood, you can read the mood and change your tone of language and easily. But some people are shy. Some people are, I'll go and speak to a guy. But over time, you need to build your confidence. It's very important, and define a very good communication skill. But very important, watch the organizations you are, watch the kind of people you are dealing with them. You cannot determine the right communication skill to engage them. Then the next one is identify the most important players in the organization. There is no way, like I said, some people, I think I've forgotten this lady's name that was one of the top executives in Goldman Sachs, that you need a coach or someone to speak for you in the room. Very, very, very important. So even if you don't know who the key decision makers are, you need to find somebody senior, right, who can speak for you. It may not necessarily be your manager. It may be somebody else in the organization, but somebody who is in the room when those decisions are made. I've been in meetings, I've been in appraisals, I've been in assessments where people I know are solid are being killed. Like technically, like this one is an Olodo. That guy doesn't know anything, doesn't talk. He's too quiet, He's too quiet. He don't even know what he's doing. He's not doing anything. He's too quiet. But because my own style of work is different, I try to, in every organization I work, I try to engage with every single person. I don't care what you are, because I believe we're all working together for the same goal. So my first style is to sit with whoever you are, cleaner, office messenger, security, everybody. People who have worked with me will tell you this. That's what I do. I give everybody the same opportunity because I need to read you and know what is going on so I can know how to work with you and achieve goals. But I can assure you, I've been in meetings where people would have been fired if I wasn't there, honestly speaking. And you will see a meeting where even some people's managers or heads of department would have finished that person. Like, that guy, I beg. Maybe because you have one thing that the manager doesn't like. That guy is useless. He's incompetent. Yeah, that's true. I noticed he doesn't do anything. You just see him smiling. Just see him, he doesn't do anything. Just sit in one corner. But because I've interacted with those people, I know that this person is a thinker. That's why this person goes to a corner. He needs quiet, peace and quiet. The person is putting in so much work. So it's very, very important. You need to find a coach or a mentor, somebody in the organization who will be in those senior meetings. And I'm not joking. It's very important. You need to work your way. And I'm not talking about your manager. Believe me. I'm talking about real conversations, where maybe director level conversations, CEO level conversations where you can be fired. I can assure you. Forget your competence, forget the knowledge you have. When organizations run for a number of years, 5, 10 years, or more than 10 years, believe me, you might feel deep within yourself that you're a superstar, but I can assure you, you can be fired. Anybody can be fired, I can assure you. As long as they don't perceive that you are adding value to the business, you will be fired at some point when they feel that they can replace you. And the owners will tell you, I've been through so many stuff, I'm not bothered anymore, because that's the truth. So it's very important to find a key person that can speak for you in situations. And that's how you also grow fast. When the right people speak well about you, you'll grow fast. Then the last one in this my presentation here is professionalism. Professionalism. You cannot compromise on that, because remember, it's a job. I tell people that, look, one day you will leave that organization. What do you want to be remembered for? If you create hatred and enemy with all the people you work with, and because you want to look good and the boss likes you, one day you will leave that organization or something might happen and you meet all those people you frustrated. How would you want to be treated? What do you want to be remembered by? Over the course of my career, I've had the opportunity to refer a number of people to jobs. And I've had the opportunity where people will call me that, hey, we're interviewing this person. What do you think? And I'm always looking at it I've never spoken bad about anybody, because I'd rather not even give an opinion than speak bad, because I don't think, I try to understand maybe it's a situation or scenario that made that person behave that way. But not everybody is like me. I've had conversations with CEOs who are called, and if I was in one when a CEO was called and somebody was being asked, hey, oh boy, how now? This guy was working with you, and the person did not even know they would call. It was okay, how is he? And the CEO practically destroyed the person's career there and there. That the person is useless, is hopeless, and the person will just help you waste your money and not come back. I'm telling you, this is a life situation. And I know that guy. I can tell you for free, that guy is solid. But I can't talk because they didn't call me. And I'm not going to go and tell the guy, because why? There's confidentiality at that level. I have to be mature enough to know how to manage certain information. So it's very, very important. You need to. That's why when people get new jobs, when they leave angrily, I always tell them, don't do that. Always leave in a nice way. So that even if they spoil your name, you can go back and say, hey, this person, they should request for my file. Did I live in a bad way? Because it's a small world. When somebody is calling somebody to find out about you, let me tell you this today. They won't only call that one person. They will call other people. So even if one person says, oh, you're useless, you're bad, you're this, by the time they call other people, what would they say? When 2, 3 people are saying this person is bad, automatically you're bad. But when out of 3 people, only one says you're bad, 2 says you're good, you are already in the door, So it's very important. Professionalism is everything. Always ask yourself, what would a professional do in this situation? Should I just got a job. The job is high paying. Damn, they want me to resume tomorrow. What do I do? Do I just tell my current company, F you, I'm gone? Or try to work out something, guys, please help me. There's always a way around everything. The company will be upset that you're going naturally. You don't have to tell them where you're going. But, professionalism, like I said, because it's a small world. So, any questions, guys? So let me just summarize in everything we've done. Like I said, this is my own experience and this is my own life. And it's a lot of things I've learned in the process. And one thing about competence I say is this. When you know something, remember, you're not knowing it for that organization. You are knowing it for yourself. You're on a journey called life, right? And the thing about life's journey is that if you keep going, you don't know what your next challenge and what your next chapter will be. Which means you always have to be an open book. You always have to try and learn. You always have to try and write your story the right way. And in that process, you need to keep learning and keep learning and keep understanding. Knowledge and experience gives you confidence in life. That I can tell you. If you know, maybe not everything, but you know something, you'll be confident in your conduct and dealing. And the more you have experience, the more you interact with different people and being open-minded, the more you learn about different styles and different types of organization. So nothing will really scare you, and everything will always work out because you will face challenges, but yes, it will always work out. And on a last note on my presentation, this is my advice. If there's anything that you've not taken from whatever I've said so far, this summarizes what you need to do. This is what has helped my career. I figured it out not too early, but not too late also. And this has helped. So a bit of background to my career. I started out my career with Big Four. I started out in PwC. I did 4 years there. Then I started jumping all over the place. I worked in Honeywell too about 3 years. And everything afterwards was jumping all over the place. Worked in e-transact, payments. I've worked in different industries, oil and gas, payments, e-commerce, and some of these roles I've held the job title of a CFO. So at least if there's anything I can say, at least over the last 10 years, I've been holding the job title of a CFO. So if there's anything, at least I know a little bit about this subject I'm talking to you guys about today. But very importantly, this last slide summarizes everything for me, and the same thing I will advise you. And it states, your competence is not determined by the amount of knowledge you have about the subject matter. You can be an IFRS expert. You can be an you can know all the IESs in this world. You can know everything about that your field, but rather your perceived value by the key decision makers in your organization. And I use a typical scenario. CEOs don't know what IFRS means. Believe me, they don't care. Even when you go for interviews, when the consultant asking, do you know IFRS 15? Have you ever done IFRS 9? And you are feeling cool. Yeah, IFRS 15, revenue recognition, blah, 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 blah. The CEO there doesn't give a crap. The CEO is probably most likely reading your attitude, saying, okay, is this person trainable? Can I work with this person? At the end of the day, what matters to the CEO is if we have any issues around financial reporting or regulations, can this dude handle it? Are we in safe hands? So it's not about what's your technical competence and ability. It's about how you are perceived by the owners of the business. Are you perceived to be adding value? If you are perceived to be adding value, then believe me, the sky is just a stepping stone for you everywhere you're going. So very importantly, learn how to sell yourself. Learn how to figure out how to make the right people perceive you as adding value. Thank you very much, guys. So Idris, thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions now.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time, sir. So I would start the question myself. Okay, so my question goes thus: as professionals or as aspiring professionals, please, I want you to expatiate on comportment in whatever organization or in whatever career line we find ourselves. How do we comport ourselves? Now, okay, you talked about being vocal. Now, in some instances, there are instances where people can actually perceive an employee to be a noisemaker in some instances, and different issues surrounding different organizations. But I just want you to just talk on that comportment for professionals now, or we that we are aspiring. Okay, after studying the culture and the organization now, how do we then comport ourselves? Do we follow the bandwagon, or do we try to make our own change or make our mark in our own little ways?
Okay, great. So the first thing I always say is this. Haven't you ever wondered that when time you are going for a job interview, they always ask you to wear suits? And I'm not sure I've ever been to any job interview or seen anybody go for a job interview and they say, bros, your suit here is the reason why we gave you a job, right? And the answer to that is very simple. It's like you want to buy water, bottled water, and you see the container is dirty. There's always that natural belief that if the container is dirty, the water is dirty. It doesn't necessarily apply in reality, but there's that first impression, there's that perception. So the first thing is, how are you perceived? How are you seen? And applying it to your question now in terms of comportment is the same thing. When somebody how do you, when you see somebody who is loud in the office, the first thing that comes to you is this person is a tout or this person is a ruffler. It doesn't matter whether the person is sound or not. So if you're not careful, you will send out the wrong signal. You will send out, like I said, the most important people in your organization. Take it from me. It's not even just your colleagues or whatever. They are the key decision makers. They are people whose opinion matter in every situation. So in every situation you meet yourself, you have to comport yourself. You have to be professional. And that's why I use the word professionalism. Professionalism doesn't just have to do with the work itself. It also has to do with how you carry yourself in an organization. How do you relate with your people? Can people engage with you properly in an organization? Do you have the technical knowledge? How do you react in situations? Because there are some skills that can be trained, that can be learned, rather, that can be acquired. You can learn IFRS now. I'm not an IFRS expert. I tell people, when there's Google, why would I have to be cramming what the IFRS is telling me? I can easily just do what I want, Google it and figure it out and get it done. But how do you carry yourself in a situation where you meet yourself? Are you bringing positive vibes? Are you bringing negative vibes? Are you such that when you enter a room, everybody gets upset? Or are you such when you enter a room, everybody gets fired up? And when people get fired up, doesn't necessarily have to mean, hey, aggressive and all that. It could just be your presence alone that, okay, I want to be like this person. So it's very, very important you comport yourself in anywhere you meet yourself. Remember, you're a finance professional. One of the expectations of your career is to be professional, if I can use that word consistently, meaning that you must be seen as a mature person where people can look up to you. So, to be honest and to be frank with you, it's almost impossible, right, to grow beyond a certain level in an organization if you don't comport yourself. Take it from me. If you're a noisemaker, people will use that guy is good at the work, but I can assure you, after a while, you are never going to grow beyond that. So it cannot be overemphasized, the importance of comportment in an organization. Like I said, you understand organizational culture, but you don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be part of it. My last job, I was working in the market, and it was challenging for me when I joined, I'll be honest with you, because here I am coming from working on the island where people wear suits, professional. And here I am, my office is inside the market. So I couldn't even figure out how to wear a market. I tell this story every time I held a session with people there, that my first week, I was working in that place holding my pocket, honestly speaking, because I felt somebody would pick my pocket and take my food. So I was uncomfortable, and being uncomfortable, why would I wear a suit to that environment and all that? But yes, in the midst of it, being a marketplace and every day, I still learned to be a professional that, look, there are certain words I cannot say. Though it's a market, but I cannot be shouting in the office. I cannot be using derogatory words in the office. I have to be matured. I have to be professional in every situation, because I remember I know that my days are in time blocks. A time block of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. After 6 p.m., I go back to my normal life. I just need to make sure that those few hours of, moments I spend in that office that day, I manage myself. So it's very important. You have to comport yourself. Don't join the bandwagon. In fact, that would even help you stand out in front of the key decision makers. I can assure you, because who's this guy that even in the midst of the madness, or who's this lady, even in the midst of the insanity, she's still able to hold herself straight and get her job done and do the right thing. So you cannot, that cannot be overemphasized, to comport and manage yourself in a mature and professional manner.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for someone asked in the chat the details of this session. It's being recorded.
Sure.
So you can always get to watch the session over and over again on our YouTube channel. So if you are in our WhatsApp group, the link to the YouTube channel will be posted sometime later. So if any other person has question or questions to ask, you can unmute your mic and ask your question directly.
Good afternoon, boss.
Hey, good afternoon, Saraji. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, sir. Okay, my question goes thus. You talked about identifying key decision makers in an organization and trying to get somebody who could speak on your behalf in management discussions. So I was going to ask, do you have any tips to share in establishing a relationship with that kind of people, most especially when they are not one of your team members or your direct supervisors which you report to? How can you go about establishing? in a relationship
Oh,
with them?
okay, great. That's a very great
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Sorry to you, I'll get back. Let me just quickly respond to this and I'll give you. So for me, it was very simple and straightforward. The first thing is I look out for people who have a similar style to me. So I look out for bosses that there are some bosses that what they do is they like Owambe parties, you know. So most times, believe me, you can't get the first audience during work hours from experience. You might be lucky, you might have your time, but you know everybody is serious and working hard during work hours, so you have that divided attention. So, but what I used to do that worked for me was I made sure that the ones that stay late, because I'm a late worker myself, so the ones that stay late, I try to go after work and sit with them, rub minds with them, share. So one thing a lot of people don't take advantage of so many times is they don't know their bosses are as approachable and they are humans too. Bosses like to see people who want to learn and be like them. So that's one thing you need to understand, very important. When you show somebody you want to be like them, I can assure you, you get their undivided attention. They give you everything that you need to achieve it. And that alone, most times, helps them say, this guy is solid. This lady is on the right track. This lady wants to do it. So for me, first of all, is you need to identify somebody you feel you can relate with. Somebody high up there that you like their style. Not somebody who shouts in the office. Not somebody, maybe you like shouting, doesn't matter. Maybe somebody who likes Owambe, or you are an Owambe person too, you like party. Okay, good now. Weekend, just boss, what's happening this weekend now? They are always there to speak to you. It's just lack of confidence that most of us have to be say, if I go and talk to this organ, what would they say? But I can assure you they're always there. So first is identify the kind of person that you can relate to. The second thing is to establish the contact. If it's an evening person, one evening, hey boss, sorry, I have a few questions. Do you have like 5 minutes for me, please? I won't take too much of your time. Okay, what is it? So boss, I read a little bit about your profile. Very important. Read the profile. Don't just go and say there. Then tell them something in their career profile that you saw, that you like. That I saw you worked here. It's a place I've actually looked forward to work in the past, but life has put me here. So, boss, how have you been able to get to this level? I'd really love you to share some tips. You'll be surprised how much information you get from that person. And when you're leaving, I always tell people, always leave with an open door. Say, okay, boss, thank you so much for the information. I hope I can be able to come back next time if I have more questions to ask. You'll be sure they say, feel free to come to speak to me anytime. And that's how it starts. So from time to time, you engage with that person. Some people like politicians. Politicians, they don't work. They know how to play the game. Some people that your bosses are not politicians. But because the guy or the lady has had that one-on-one with you, they know this person has some stuff in there. Believe me, when the time comes, they'll speak for you. And I've been in those meetings. I've experienced it myself. And I've been there in those situations. So I know I've seen people fight for people who they don't even, if you wonder, what's this person's business? No, that person is good. And those are the little ways. So first thing is identify the person. 2, establish the contact. 3, be sincere in your conversations with them. And 4, always leave open-ended. Make sure that you have the room to be able to come back and engage with them. Even if it's there, collect their phone number, even if it's weekend, and you'll be fine with them. So that's my suggestion there, Brian. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss. Yes, that does. That does. Thank you very much, boss.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Good evening.
Yeah. My name is Toyosi. Please, I have 3 important questions to ask. The first one is, how do you manage with your people? For instance, now you're like 7 on the floor and we all report to a CEO. How do you manage with them? How do you work in line with them so that they not just be as if, okay, you know much more than them, you have the knowledge, you have the competence, and they will not be beefing you? How do you manage with them and how do you relate with them so that it will not just be as if you are too pompous and you are trying to correct them in such a way that they should understand that this is not the right way to do, but they will now be feeling as if you are the island of you know everything more than them and they will now be beefing you. Second thing is relationship. How can I manage my relationship with my boss directly? And you talk about the fact that we should be professional in all our ways and we should talk to an important people. And line manager is an important person to your progress in an organization. How do you ensure that my relationship with my line manager is smooth? And then thirdly, sir, how can we relate with you after this section, maybe on LinkedIn or any other places, so that if you have any other
disturbing matters, we can not disturbing per se, but if you have any urgent matter, we can always walk up to you or talk to you about. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Theos. I'll start from the last to the first. I'm a very free person. I'm approachable. My LinkedIn is George Jinodu. I think they'll probably drop it on the forum, so you can connect with me anytime. You can even drop a message on the forum. You can reach out to any of the admins. I'm a very free person, so nothing is too big to deal with. Believe me, I've had to do personal situations with people. I just don't give people money because I don't have politician money. So don't ask me for money. You get down. I'm like Peter Obi. I'm stingy. Just joking. But you can reach out anytime, anywhere, anyhow. You will always get my attention. So the second one is relationship with line manager. I think that's very relative, and I say relative because, first of all, one thing I tell people is communication is a two-way thing. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to every situation, and here's what I mean. You can't say because you are doing it when you are working here because you have a nice boss that was friendly and happy and playful. Then a new boss comes. You can't say, no, this one, every time you be comparing it with the old boss, the other boss, or this one, that was nice, this one is this one is that. Everybody has their style. So the first thing is you need to understand the style of the person you are working with. There is no boss that is angry. So let me tell you a simple rule of life, which I use. And my rule is this. My job is to make the life of my boss easier. If you understand that rule, believe me, you have the best relationship with every boss, even the most useless and annoying person in the world. You have it. They may not like you, but you will always get your respect. And so it's your job to figure out how to make the life of your boss easier. It doesn't come with, it comes with a bit of work in it most times, hard work. Like, I've been in a situation where, just similar to what you said, in a team of, I think we're a team of like 4. Yes, we're 4 reporting to a financial controller. Then I was my main accountant, and everybody was a dissident. Nobody liked the boss because the boss has a style. But the boss liked me because here's what you said, over Sabi, I knew it all and all that. But what I did then that worked for me was this. I figured out how to relate with everybody on an individual and a personal level. So one thing about me that I'll tell you today, and we are not all the same, but I say it. People who have worked with me will tell you, I'm a happy person. Even in the worst situation, you will never see me get angry or, because I've learned to put things into perspective. It's a job, It doesn't say anything about it. Even if your boss insults the life out of you today, it doesn't mean anything about that. It doesn't mean anything, frankly speaking. It doesn't say anything about who you are. Your boss will only do that during work hours. Your boss cannot come and meet you in your house and insult you, Nabi.
That's true.
Exactly. So you always need to first create that time block in your head that, okay, this time block, between this hour to this hour, this is where I should be, this is where my focus should be. Now, if you can create that time block, the next thing is you need to understand what does your boss like? What makes your boss happy and what makes his life easy? That's the first step. I remember I said your work is to make the life of your boss easier. If you can figure that out also, then help your boss achieve that. You will be surprised how much you have a very good relationship. I tell you something sometimes people don't understand. I've worked with a boss. One of the worst situations I've been, one of the worst bosses there in PwC, everybody hated. Osere was my boss there. Osere will come to work 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He will keep you in the office 11 p.m. And you have been in the office 8 o'clock. And you've been wondering which kind of wicked human being is this one. Then 11 will now come. 11. I'm not joking. I've left the office a number of times midnight without a car. And I'm going all the way from VI to Festa. I was robbed even in one instance, now, because his last boss will enter. So it's all crazy. But the reality is, that's his style. I did it without complaint. People used to complain, but I never complained because I looked at it that, okay, it's a temporary thing. At some point, I'm going to leave what I'm doing and all that. So another boss that we had a similar situation with the same organization, I realized that I had family problem. This is something personal to him. So he was always avoiding his wife. So because of that, he would go home very late. So that all he has to do is go home, sleep, and wake up. By 5 o'clock, this man is in the office, 5:30 later. So you know that the only thing he does is sleep in the house. And he will come to work after this Sunday. So it was later I realized that, okay, it wasn't about the work for this guy keeping us late. It's about him having needing to get away from his wife. So when I realized that, okay, first thing I did, and this was me, I mean, it may not work for you. I don't know the kind of situation you're facing right now. I spoke to him. We now started using Aigbon because he's a Yoruba man. Aigbon, just started whining him, trying to change his the whole conversation from being formal to being informal to talking about. Then we used to gist. He would talk about girls that he likes. He just wanted someone to confide in, to reason with him. And he's my boss. Yeah, I don't womanize, so but at least I'm fine. That those kind of stuff I used to joke with him. And after a while, I realized that he stopped keeping me late because what I now started doing, boss, I need to get somewhere by 6. No problem. Meanwhile, the others will be in the office. Boss, I have to go here. So, but what he will do now, he will now be calling me when I get home. Boy, how far, blah, blah, blah. So, what I did then was sort of build a unique relationship with him. Exactly. So, it's very unique. I don't like doing that. I can't do that anymore. I did that when I wasn't married, when I was on my own. So, on my boy life, I can, can decide not to stay at home, but I can't do it with anybody again, But very important, understand your boss, understand what makes his life easy on the job, professionalism. You don't have to go the way I did because that's unprofessional. If you ask me, we are talking personal nonsense for my own selfish interest. But like I said, it was the early stage in my life. I don't know any different. I just wanted to stop closing 11 o'clock. And I realized that, okay, maybe this is the way to just manage this guy and get him off my back. But very importantly, do the job. Let your manager see. In fact, engage with him. Boss, come on. What is the biggest thing I can do for you that can make your life easy at work? You'll be shocked, they'll tell you. I've done it many times. And they will tell you, I just need my reports to come out early. That one is just generic. But by the time you start engaging, they will start showing, okay, see, this thing here, this guy is always making this mistake here. He will still give me back. Can you figure, okay, no worry, boss, I'll check it for you before it gets to you. And before you know it, you start building good relationships. But like I said, it comes with work. Because the more you start asking, the more they will load you with work. But when they load you with work, you learn. And when you learn, you become more dangerous to the company because then you know so much, they don't want to let you go. Then you can use to even negotiate better pay or go elsewhere. Knowledge is what you sell everywhere you're going. So then the third one is your colleagues. I think the most important part in that level for me is, look, you can't please everybody. I'll be very honest with you. You can try. And what I try to do is I speak their language with them. Like I come to the level. Even something I know, sometimes I pretend I don't know. I ask people, please show me this thing. Most times people feel good when they are showing you ahead. It's not only him that knows everything, it's I know and all that. But just about that communication, don't always be the first to provide a solution. Give them also that option. You see, as long as everybody perceives that you are not a threat, you'll be fine. Because believe me, sometimes it won't work. Let me be honest with you, some people are naturally sad. They are unhappy. So if you like, try to do everything to become their friends. They are unhappy and they will always be unhappy. So just leave them with their unhappiness. Try, but as much as possible, engage with them on that personal level, professional level. Don't always be the true know in the team. Just share ideas. Ask them even things you know. Well, come and show me how you do this thing. You'll be surprised. Then it opens the door of the conversation and relationship, and you start to achieve better with them. So I hope I've been able to answer your question.
In fact, we dealt with it seriously. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No
God
problem.
bless.
You're welcome. Hi, Mabel. Wanted to say something?
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Please, I have a question. Can I go on?
Ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay. You made mention when you were presenting, you said one of the key elements of being professional is this visibility perception management. Then, as a matter of policy, like in my organization, you don't go straight to the CEO and tell the CEO because you want to be passive. You don't go straight to the CEO and tell him or whatever. But as a matter of policy, you have to go through. Okay, I have to go through my manager now. Now I do almost all the work, but when he's presenting it as his work. Now, in this situation, what do I do? Because I can't go straight to the CEO because as a matter of policy, I have to go through him. Now, when he's presenting the work, he's presenting it as his own work. Whereas I did all the editing, I have to go through sometimes I have to come back home, do some overnight work and all that. But when he's presenting it, he's presenting my work as his work. In this situation, how do I make myself possible? How do I don't know how to put it, how do I
Yeah, more visible to the
yes, how do I make myself more
decision makers.
visible? Yes.
Absolutely perfect. I like that. And this is a reality. Believe me, I've been in that situation. And I'll tell you a very simple thing to do. In your organization, after the CEO, is your boss the only senior person or are there other senior people there?
There are other ones, but in my own department, I have to report to him as my manager.
Yeah.
I can't go
Perfect.
like okay, under the finance, but I can't go and report to marketing now. I have to report
Perfect.
to him. He goes to report to the CEO.
Perfect. Perfect. So that's where the concept of having someone to speak for you comes in. They may not necessarily be your boss. So what you're doing is perfect. What your manager is doing is also perfect. Your manager's job is to manage you, to get the right information and present it to the CEO. It is at his or her discretion to say, this is the person that is doing the work for me. And that's why the appraisal period that you're supposed to get appraisal, and do all those things. Now, what you can do, which I did, is look for other senior people in the organization. Try and build a relationship with them. Like I just said, you can just look for maybe head of marketing. One day, hey, sir, ma, please, I was just reading something about Facebook, or I was just reading about something above the line marketing. Can you put me through it? You'll be surprised that they will talk. Okay, so marketing is this, marketing in that. What you're doing in that way is, apart from learning about marketing, which is not your key objective, you are building a rapport with the marketing manager, and you are creating an impression in the face of the marketing manager. Because what you see, take it from me from experience, the marketing manager, this person who is interested in this person must really know what they are doing. By the time you do that with one person, and there's an opportunity to do it with another senior person, remember, you're not even talking of your finance work here. What you are doing is you are showing them that you are intelligent and you are hungry to learn. So by the time conversations come, believe me, those conversations always happen. They happen most times informally, unplanned. The CEOs come, oh, what do you think about this person? They might not even ask your manager. Take it from them. In fact, not that they will not ask your manager. It's somebody else they will ask that, what do you think about this person? And that way, what you've done is you've already planted your seed in those people that this person is smart, this person is hungry, this person does a lot of work. Now, one thing to be careful about, don't ever say bad about anybody. Oh, I'm the one doing the work for my manager. Never. Because what you will do is you will sound off wrong. But what you can do is engage them on their own field. Just tell me about marketing, sir. Can you give me a bit of idea, ma? I just want to have an idea of this. I know it's unrelated to my work, but I've just been reading about it lately. I want to understand it. Believe me, the day the CEO will call you and commend you, you'll be shocked. You'll be wondering, how did this man know I'm the one doing my work? Almost 90% or 95% of organizations, take it from me, the CEOs always have a way of knowing what is happening beneath them. Some use unconventional means. They might have people like spy they put in the system. Maybe those ones, they come to work, they don't do anything. You think they are working. Their job is just to be giving updates to the CEO. And some use conventional media. Organizations have worked that the CEO can just call you up one day. Come, let's have lunch. If you see that, what is there? They engage you. That's not so common, but I've been in such a situation and it worked. But in this scenario, what I would advise you to do is look for other HODs. When you have free time, engage with them on an intellectual level. Talk about things in their field. Talk about economy. Don't paint that picture like I said, that you're the only one doing the work. They won't like it because they will feel that you're coming to badmouth your boss, and nobody likes a subordinate that badmouth. But if you go there and speak positively with them, you'll be surprised how your information. Try it out and within 1 month and see the results you get. Take my word for it today. You'll be surprised how the CEO will know that this girl is doing so much work here. It's an unwritten rule. It's something that they won't teach you in school, but that's the reality. Every CEO wants to know what is happening with even somebody as junior as a cleaner. Take it from me. The only difference is the approach. Some plant people there, some poke their nose, some just do it high level and trust their leadership that, okay, my leadership can always handle this situation. And for all you know, you'll be surprised that your manager also mentions it to the CEO. But if he doesn't mention, which is fine, try this approach I've given you. Find 1 or 2 HODs or senior people that you feel that are mature that you can relate with. Ask them questions in their field. Don't talk about yours. Then when you ask them, build that relationship with them that I hope I can come back and ask more questions, or man. Feel free now. By the time you start engaging with them, watch the result and you'll be surprised how you move faster. Try it out and give me a feedback. I'm always open to such. That's what worked for me, so I can tell you it worked.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Uh, Thank you very much for this section. I have a question. I just got a new appointment at a company. So I figured I was brought as a replacement for someone, but my designation is lower than the person's designation, even though she's handing over all her tasks, which is very large to me. I don't know how to handle that because, okay, for example, she's an HR officer and then they brought me in as a replacement for her, but placed me on an HR assistant level, even though I'll be performing all the tasks of an HR manager. I don't know how to handle that.
It's very simple. The example I used earlier for cars, it's like when you want to go to the market, you want to buy something. The first thing is perception of value, right? So the people who place you on that level, they are thinking, maybe during your interview or assessment, I don't think this person can function at this level. So they don't trust you yet. They don't believe you can function. So for me, my advice to you is do the work. Forget the title, forget the money. Believe me, one day you will be chief HR officer in an organization. At this level you are learning. Do the work, do it for 1 or 2 months. Do it to the best possible way that it can be done. If possible better than the person I was doing it for, do it. Then go back and meet the people that are in charge and you see what will happen. You will be surprised that you won't be promoted higher than that level. Because what will happen is they won't want to lose you. You made a mistake or this person is actually good at this. So it's about how they perceived you at the point of engaging you. Maybe when they interviewed you, like I said, they asked a few questions, you were not comfortable the way you responded to it. It happens a lot. I've seen it so many times. But it doesn't take anything away from you. Believe me, it takes nothing away from you. Because remember, employers too can be funny. Employers most times try to negotiate people out of their process. And I think it's one of the sessions that we need to bring also, how probably get an HR person to teach how to negotiate your way, even though you are perceived wrongly. Because negotiation is a different madness entirely. It's about perception. It's about how do you shift ground, or how do you have the conversation so that you won't still lose the job. Because if you price yourself too high, or in terms of a position too high, they will say, no, you might lose the job. Versus, how do I get what I'm really worth in terms of value? I'm not an expert in that area. We'll probably look for a human resource person that knows so much about it to come and speak to us one day. But my advice to you is forget the job title, forget everything. Just do the job. Do it very well. And I have not seen any organization that you add value, right, that will not want you or want to promote you. And if they don't promote you, take a look. It's not always the best, but this is my own policy. If I'm adding so much value and I know I deserve more, I'll go to where I'm appreciated. I'll go there straight without wasting time. I look for a job that they will pay me for. Because believe me, I can assure you whatever you think you are earning today, there are organizations who will pay you way more once you can demonstrate you have that skill and knowledge. And remember, one thing you will now be doing by the time you are negotiating your next job, you now have the skill. So you are not talking from, because right now maybe you have an idea, but you've not done it at that level. Or let's say you've even done it before in a different organization. By the time you are going for your next interview, you can tell them that you've done this thing in 2 different organizations. Then, when you are negotiating, you are coming from a position of strength that, look, I am solid in this thing. Forget the job title. Most people won't recruit you based on your job title. They recruit you based on perceived knowledge. What value are you bringing? They feel, this person has the title of a manager. Yeah, they may not want to give you manager straight to package, but if you are good at negotiation, you will still get your manager title. So we will need to get somebody who is an expert in negotiation and advice on that. But do the work. Forget the title and everything. Do it. Give them 3 months. Then go back to the person that, look, this is where I should be. This is what I deserve. And you say it in a nice and professional way. Maybe when that time comes, you can reach out. I will teach you how to do that too. Because if you go in the wrong way, they'll start suspecting more. This person wants to leave. They'll start looking for a replacement. But there are ways around that you'll get a raise without the company feeling threatened. So, do the work, forget the job title. Then when the time comes, maybe 3 months down the line, let's have a conversation around it.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions? Anything in the chat box, Idris?
Okay, someone is asking for your LinkedIn profile in the chat box.
Okay, let me see if I can get that. I will try and drop it up. I think I
Good
only
evening.
dropped it. Okay, good evening. Hi.
My name is Ibrahim Sharif. I just want to say thank you for your time, for giving us such a wonderful experience.
You're welcome.
So my
sir.
question goes thus. In a situation where you find yourself in an organization where you are not really given a specified task or a role, let's say you are employed as an accountant, but no specified job. If this month they give you this task, and before you know, they move it to something else. Sometimes you might just be there and they'll just tell you to just hang on, your job is coming. So in such a situation, how do you show your competence? How do you tend to manage the whole thing, or do you just look for somewhere else to work? I don't know. Please help you.
Good. So I tell people this thing. There are like 3 major levels to your career path. There's the knowledge acquisition stage, where you acquire all the skill set, knowledge aggressively, like you don't know anything, you are just learning. Then there's the managerial level, where you learn to manage people, leadership, manage people, and all that. Then there's the final stage, which is the C level, which is bringing it together, the strategic level, where you know your technical abilities or your people management skills are no longer the big deal you are measured about, but rather your ability to build business, your ability to say, okay, this is a business, and you run it as a business. So at this level, my advice to you is this: be like a sponge, which is what I am. I tell people I'm a sponge. I learn whatever situation you give me, I learn from it. I don't care, because I don't know when that knowledge will be useful, and that's the truth. So in such an organization, if it's work that is of value, right, not just go and make photocopy, go and buy food. If it's that one, me, I will fight. But if it's something that is useful to you at some point, maybe some form of knowledge that is tasking, keep learning. That's my advice to you. Keep learning, keep soaking it in, keep doing it. There will always be the opportunity, right, to show that you have the right skill set. It may not necessarily even be the organization, because most often than not, when you see organizations like that, it's the way they are designed. It's not their fault. Is the structure, is the everything. But if you can learn so much and develop yourself and package yourself the right way, you can use the knowledge elsewhere. But I will tell you one thing that you shouldn't miss out on. The fact that they are giving you so many things to do, believe me, it's a blessing. It's a privilege. It's an opportunity. I know bigger organizations where when they put you in accounts payable, the only thing you do for like 4 or 5 years is accounts payable before they move you to accounts receivable. And you would have worked there for 10 years. You are not well grounded. But a startup or a smaller company, you do everything in 1-2 years. And when you're having conversations, you can say, so by the time you're changing jobs or moving elsewhere, you already have some level of knowledge which you can use to negotiate for yourself. So my own advice has always been for people when it comes to giving people work. I always say, do the work, bros. You never can tell. You are still, except you have done 8 years at what you are doing, 7-8 years. I will still say at this level, just keep learning. Keep learning anything you can learn. You are not ripe yet for a managerial role. Managerial role doesn't mean you can't hold the job title manager or senior manager. Don't get me wrong. When I say managerial role, I mean managing people, managing ability to say, okay, can you manage 50 people? Can you manage 30 people? So keep learning, keep doing it. Opportunity will pose itself to show that you are competent. Take it from me. Because let me even tell you as a very simple way to even check yourself. If they keep giving you work and they are not complaining and they are giving you a new task, believe me, it's because you are demonstrating competence. I've managed so many people in so many organizations in my life. Look, if somebody is not competent, you won't give them.
That's true, sir. That's true.
You won't give work, like you just hey, don't worry, I'll do it. So you may not be able to sack that person, but you won't give them work. So for you to be getting more, believe me, it's because you are doing something good. So keep soaking it in until the right time will come. You will know when the time is right, believe me. There might be a role, there might be an opening in the organization that they will look for somebody. And you tell them, hey, I'm interested in this. Be bold enough and you do it. You don't even have to know everything to take those roles. And there they will speak for you, this guy is good. You can do it. And it might even be in a different organization. You might see vacancy. Somebody will refer you. Most of the jobs I've gotten is through referrals, phone call. Hey, boy, come, there's a role here. Are you interested? I hardly send CVs through LinkedIn and all that. I don't do it. It's always because I put in the work. If you know me, you know I work hard. It's lately that old age is coming in. I don't kill myself. I work. I don't even sleep most times. In a day, maybe I sleep 3 or 4 hours. That's who I am as a person. But I don't encourage people to do it because it's not healthy. Don't try it. Don't damage your health for no reason. So that's my advice to you. Keep taking the work. For them to keep giving you more is because they are doing something right and they believe in you. You just need to figure out time to be able to know when to engage that, hey, I'm doing so much more. I want a higher position or more money. When that time is right, you can reach out to me. I can advise you. Or anytime you're free, you can reach out to me. We can have a conversation around how to do that so that you can know how to go about it at the right time. So you won't go and do it wrong way. Say, this guy, is he threatening us and all that? So feel free to reach out to me anytime after this, any weekend, then you can have that conversation and I'll tell you what to do. Okay, any other question? I think we've really dragged the people beyond 1 hour that we planned. So,
Okay, I done with his or her question.
Hello, sir.
okay, hello, I'm with you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I want to ask a question actually, sir, regarding my place of work though. Since I joined, I was taught just barely a week. They taught me how to do some things, and after that, I've been working from home. I would say since January till date, if I've gone to the office, it's not up to 10 times.
Okay.
And the pace at which I learn, if not for the fact that I force myself at times to learn, to put in some extra work, I would say the pace at which I learn is very slow. And I had to, on my own, do so many things to know what is really required of me to be done in terms of my workload and other things. So my question is, how can you advise me to see this as an opportunity working remotely so far?
Okay, great. For me, it's very simple. You need to know what you want. Take a lot of free courses. There are a lot of there's one that I think there was shared on the forum, ALX or something like that. Did you sign up for that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. So because the challenge, that's one of the challenges working from home. Unfortunately, it may not necessarily be the best for someone at an early stage of their career. For someone like me, it's the best work because I get to have free time to do other things. But somebody who wants to learn and at an early stage, it may not necessarily be the best. So I feel your pain. So what I would say is try and learn as much as possible through courses, look for online stuff, topics that you like, and follow experts around it. So some people, what I've done for them, I read a lot, I follow a lot of people. We are not at the same level, so some of the things I follow, you might not be interested in. It depends on your topic, actually. So just what I say is you can Google your topics, look for key people on maybe YouTube or other places, follow their content. They'll give you an idea. So, for example, someone like me now, I'm interested in startups. I like startups. I like technology company. I like people who speak about finance, things like that. So there are a couple of people I follow online. I read their content all the time to just make sure I'm abreast of what is new. And because the reality is your organization, I'm not sure. Do you have managers or people that are more senior in the organizations that can teach you?
Yes, sir, we do. I do.
Okay, great. So then it all depends on your relationship with them. So you can engage them, say, boss, come, can I come over one weekend? You show me a couple of things. You'll be surprised, they will be happy to show you. So you just also need to make that conscious effort. As long as you have people in the system who have the knowledge you want, just let them, hey, boss, so I need help with this thing. I want to know it. Please, can you help me out with this? And you'll be surprised.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, I think someone just dropped the message.
There's another question in the chat box now.
Okay.
The person is, what's the difference between being a master in a particular process and being good at a job as a professional? I guess there is a thin line that exists between both, which is advisable as a young professional.
Okay. Like you said, there's actually a thin line. You become a master when you do something repetitively. Keep doing it over and over and over and over. After a while, it comes to be natural, just like walking now or driving. You can drive a car or. But The challenge is this, which I tell people is this: you always have to be a student of life. And one thing you should never lose sight of, right, as a young professional is this: a company or an organization is a system of systems, right? And a system is a collection of processes. Okay, I'll take that again. Every organization is a system of systems, right? It's one big machine, just like a car. And as big as it is, inside there are subsystems, smaller systems, right? And each system has a process. So, for example, accounts, the finance department is a system with different processes or different subsystems, account payable system with processes, or you take customer invoice, you do this, you do that. For a young finance professional, your eye should be focused on the overall organization. Like, you shouldn't just base yourself on accounts payable. You should be looking at the company as a whole. Why does the organization have a finance department? Why does the organization have a human resource department? Why does the organization have a sales department? Why do they have those jobs? Because remember, it's just like a car. A car cannot move. Even if you have the nicest tire, the best body, if your battery is not in your car, it won't start. If you put a battery in a car, if the electrical wires are all cut, ripped to pieces, it won't start. If you put the electrical wires, everything is fine, you've lost aesthetics, you don't put tire, the car will not move. So, as a young professional, you're at a level where you are focused more on the tires now. You are ensuring, okay, the tire is not totally worn, the lines and treading is there and all that. But when you realize that you are becoming an expert in one process, my suggestion is look for opportunities to learn other processes. Then, the more you learn, because remember, it's a pyramid. The higher you go in your career path, the early level, you'll probably be doing postings, do reconciliation. Then the next level, you start to supervise people doing posting, reconciliation. Then the next level, you start to do conversation with the management, do reports and analysis of those reports. Then the more senior level, you start to do strategy. Where I've been a CFO in organizations where I was giving sales targets. I have to meet a revenue target. Though I'm a finance person, but I have to go out and do business development. So you need to look at the bigger picture. 20 years from now, 15 years from now, what is the objective of everything you are doing? Fine, you're just a tiny element right now. But what is the objective of having even an accounts payable? What is the objective of having an accounts receivable? Everything feeds into one thing for the finance department, the financial reports. Ability to advise the management on value, on wealth management, or creation of value for the organization. That's why they broke it into subs. So as a person, learn the process because it's very important. You need to understand how those things work. But the moment you become a master, where they wake you up from sleep, they say, our payable balance went from 2 billion every month to showing 10 billion. They just wake you up. You say, no, somebody must have posted wrongly into Mr. George's account. That's why. And by the time they go there, they realize, somebody posted wrongly into Mr. George's account. You're already become a master of that process. And at that point, it's very dangerous for a very young professional to still sit in that process. It's time for you to leave that process. Go to another similar process at the same level, or go to a higher level, whereby you see how accounts payable interacts with accounts receivable. Because many people don't know, account payable and account receivable, they interact. And they interact with treasury management. Why? Because remember, it's about cash management. If you have payables, they will tell you about how you manage your business, you finance your business. It's either through equity or debt, or through vendor money. So, for example, if I'm giving my customers 30-day credit, the vendor supplying me, I can't take 30 days credit from them. I must be aiming for 45 days. So, at any point in time, I'm trading with the receivables, the vendor's money, such that if my people are not paying me in the 30 days, I need to figure out how to get a longer time for my suppliers to pay my suppliers. So everything is interwoven. So my advice to you is, when you are becoming too good at one process, it's time to leave for the next process. It's time to move on to learn something new. And gradually, you get there. But at every point in time also, always have the bigger picture in your head. Why do we even have a finance function? Why do we have this? Then when you have that, it will give you a direction and perspective as to what next you should be looking at. I hope I've answered your question. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Well answered.
Okay, awesome. Any other question? Okay, so we don't waste people's time too much. What most people will take one more, and if there's no more, so that people can prepare for work for tomorrow.
Okay, I think that will end the question and answer session. You've actually thrown lots and lots of insights to different questions and different case scenarios. So once again, I want to say a very big thank you for making out time for this session, sharing your experience, knowledge, and what you've actually learned over time, so we too we can learn, make amends, and propel our career. I want to say thank you very much once again. So to every other person, if you are here and you aren't a member on the Finance Business Partners, there's the links to our various platforms on the chat box. You can do well to join any of our engagement platforms. And with this, we've come to the end of today's session for the month of June. So I want to thank every person on this call or that made time out for this session. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming and thanks for your time. And to our guests, having you on another session soon. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
All right, thank you for having me. And I'll say one thing as my final shot for the day. I don't know everything. I'm still learning, and very importantly, every member of this forum can also add value. So if you have something you feel that you can teach us, please feel free and share with us. You can be the one facilitating. We will also learn from you. It doesn't have to be so many years of experience. It could even be something as small as how you do reconciliations. We would really love to hear from you, and that's the objective of setting up the group, so that we learn from each other. Iron sharpness iron, and let's take this profession to the highest level possible. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jinadu. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, your everything you've contributed so far. God bless you.
Amen. And everybody on the forum too. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you very much again, sir. So we've come to the end of today's session. Thank you for your time, and we wish every person on this session a greater height in our various engagements, and we look forward to having each and every one of you again in our next session. That would be for the month of July, where we would invite another professional to share insights and industry knowledge with us. So till then, thank you very much and good night.
All right, thank you. Yeah, bye everybody.